Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make chicken, broccoli, and pasta Alfredo. So everything you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make this, and there really isn't that much involved in making this dish. It's really great because it's just a straightforward process. If you follow this step by step, it's going to turn out wonderful, but it is going to have the best taste. It's really wonderful, and you don't have to serve a lot with this because this is going to make a lot to feed a few people. And the best thing about it is it's really impressive when it's done, but it really tastes like you put some effort into it. So if you like some Italian food, this is for you. So we're going to go ahead and cut the fat off of the chicken that we're going to be using because we have 2 chicken breasts. And make sure that you work around here. If there are any hard parts on the chicken or anything needs to be cut off, make sure you get that off as well, just because of the fact that there is usually some fat, or the one side of the chicken tends to have like this one hard section you have to cut off all the time. But that's all well and good. Anyway, so once we get it cut up, cleaned up, then we're going to take it, cut it in slices, and we're going to actually cut each one of these into a cube. So once we have a strip of the chicken off of it, cut it a few times. These don't have to be tiny pieces. They could be like medium-sized hunks of chicken. We're just basically trying to cube it, so that way when we cook this up, we're just going to put it straight in with the pasta and the broccoli and everything, and just it's going to be really easy to work with. So go ahead and cut this, get all of it cut up. And as you can see here, I had like 2 medium chicken breasts. They weren't like really huge or anything, but this does actually work out to be quite a bit of chicken. Now, once you put this with a bunch of pasta and a bunch of broccoli and your sauce and everything, it actually works out to be quite a bit of food. So you're gonna have a large skillet of this to work with. And this is something really, it's like not a lot of time consuming effort going into it. It's just one of these things, you're gonna cook it, it's going to be done, and you're going to have a great meal, and you really don't have to put a lot with it. So we're going to move on to a medium-sized pot, which we're going to fill it halfway with water, add some salt, add some oil to it, and get this heated up because we're going to need this to cook our pasta in. So go ahead and work with that, get it together, get it heated up. You're going to need at least 8 ounces of pasta. You can add a little more to this if you want to. It doesn't have to be a lot. And I use penne. So when I put my penne in here, I'm going to cook this for about 8 minutes. All pasta cooks a little bit different time, but that's okay. So I'm going with the penne version right now. 8 minutes is not going to be completely done on this, but we don't want to be completely done when this is cooked because we're going to end up adding the broccoli into this same pot to cook. So once you get to the 8-minute marker, just go ahead and take the lid off of it, and then you're going to put in the broccoli and let it cook, and you're going to need at least 2 cups of the broccoli florets. So basically, once you get this to the point where your pasta is 8 minutes, dump in the broccoli, let it cook for at least 4 minutes, and that's going to actually get it to a point where it's usable in this recipe. And that's going to actually let the pasta finish what it's supposed to cook at anyway. So you're going to be in good shape because even though putting the broccoli in is going to actually turn down the temperature a little bit, it really isn't going to hurt it. So 4 minutes later, we're going to drain this, get some cold water on it to stop the broccoli from cooking, and set it aside. And we're going to move into a large skillet, which we're going to add 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And then once that's in there, we're going to move our chicken into this because we want to get ready to cook it so it's ready for us later on in the recipe. So once your chicken is in, you're going to need at least a teaspoon of chicken seasoning and a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper to put onto this, so that way we can season it a little bit before we move forward. So once you get them on there, we want to cook this until the chicken is browned and done completely, and then we're going to remove it from the pan. So want to just get this going here and make sure that you don't use a lot of salt and pepper on this. You don't really need it so much because there's so many flavors going on, but I say just do it a pinch. It's not really that much, but it's going to give it a little bit of flavor, so we're not trying to overload this. So go ahead and keep cooking this until it's totally done, like I said. And as you're moving it around the oil, it's going to distribute some of that seasoning throughout. And the chicken seasoning just gives it a punch of flavor, so that's just a really great thing to have. So go ahead and mix it around until it's cooked. And like I said, once it's done, we're going to remove this to a plate, set it to the side, and we're going to bring it back later. So just cook it till it looks about like this. Remove it out of here. Now, there will be some debris left in your pan. That's perfectly fine. We're going to use that. It's going to work to our benefit because there's flavor in there from the chicken, there's flavor in there from the seasoning, and it's just going to work for what we want it to be. And once we get all of this chicken out of here and we're ready to move forward, you're going to need 1/4 cup of butter. And what we're going to do is add it to this pan, and we're going to melt it completely. Even though there's still some juice in here, that's perfectly fine. So once you get it in, cut it up into pieces to put it in, and then the butter is going to go in here, and you really need to melt this all the way before we start doing anything else. And coming up after this, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. So once that butter is melted, we're going to add in the minced garlic to it. Now, when you put the minced garlic in, something you need to know about this, like minced garlic is good for cooking about like 30 seconds to a minute. Otherwise, you're going to scorch it. It's not going to taste really great. So we're going to take it almost a minute here as we're cooking it, and then we're going to add other stuff to it to stop it from getting to a point where it's going to taste bad. Because once you have scorched garlic, it does not taste good. So go ahead and just stir this around here. And about the minute marker, we're going to come here with some other things we're going to add to this, because you're going to need a cup of heavy cream. And that's going to be the basis of making the sauce that's going to go on this. So go ahead, stir that around, and then bring in your heavy cream and pour it in. And then we're going to add some other ingredients to this. So go ahead and stir that up a little bit if you need to. And then we're going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And then we're going to mix this around and just totally make sure everything's distributed. But we want to actually cook this until it starts to bubble. We want to get that temperature up in the skillet, so that way we're at a point where it's literally doing it. Now, the whole time we've been cooking this, it's been on like medium-high heat. So we want to keep it that way. And just keep mixing this until you see that bubble. And once it's bubbling, we want to let it do this for just about, a minute or so. We just wanted to make sure that it's thickening up this sauce. And then after we get it to that point, we're going to add at least a cup of Parmesan cheese to it, because that's going to help us thicken it, but it's going to give us the Alfredo sauce that we're working with here. So go ahead and bring in your cheese. I already pre-measured mine. And you're going to stir this until it thickens. And then once it gets to a point where it's thickened really well and we've broken up the cheese, now this is the point where you want to stir it around as it's thickening to break up the Parmesan we just put in it, because we poured it in there, it's going to clump a little bit. So just keep moving it around till it breaks up. And then after we get it to the point where it's starting to thicken, we're going to bring back the chicken, the pasta, and the broccoli and put them into the sauce. And then we're going to turn it down to low and cook it for about 5 minutes to make sure that everything is totally incorporated, everything works really well. So as you can see, mine is thickening really well here at this point. So we're going to get ready to add the other ingredients back into this. So go ahead and put your chicken in first, and you want to get it a little coated before you add anything else to it. And then, the pasta and the broccoli can come right in behind this. And the best thing is, like in this last 5 minutes of cooking on low heat, you literally get everything kind of coated in this sauce and give it a great flavor. Now, when you go to serve this, if you have some Parmesan left, you can put on top when it's on someone's plate, or even some red pepper flakes. They give it such a great kick, and that's something that really makes it taste so great. So go ahead and stir everything up in here, and as I said, low for about 5 minutes until everything really gets coated in this and the sauce is really thickened up a bit. And this is basically what you're going to have here, and whatever you want to serve with this is fine. If you want bread or whatever with it, this just really works. And this is not really a hard thing to make. So, if you have time to run into the kitchen and make something that's kind of unique for dinner, this is a great thing to make, for the fact that, you're going to make an Alfredo sauce and everything, which isn't really half bad. But when mine was done, I was amazed at what flavors in it. And this is what mine looked like when it hit the plate. I put the Parmesan cheese on top, the red pepper flakes, and this was a wonderful meal. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can get a free recipe, check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out, and I hope you have a great day.